How do I quiet the monkey mind for meditation? That's a big question. There are many techniques in meditation, but let's start at the beginning. In the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, he explains that the only way to transcend the natural turbulence of the mind is to focus the mind. Trying to suppress thoughts just doesn't work. In fact, the same question was asked by Arjuna to Lord Krishna in the famous dialogue which constitutes the Bhagavad Gita. And so there are various, as Patanjali puts it, objects of meditation to focus on in order to get the mind to quiet down. Now, those objects can be external, with the eyes open, but in the tradition of Raja Yoga, for the most part, those objects are subtle behind closed eyes. You might silently, inwardly chant a mantra. You might do different things with your breath, controlling the breath in a wide variety of different techniques. You might, and as you advance with your meditation, you begin to have subtle sense perceptions. The five senses have their origin in the subtle body, the astral body. So on the subtle level, there are sense perceptions of all five senses that arise sort of on their own while you're behind closed eyes and you're meditating and focusing the mind. And they then in turn become an object of focalization, object of concentration to help settle down the mind. So that's the basic architecture of meditation. Meditation meaning success in quieting the mind. That is meditation. I mean, it's not all of what meditation is, but it's a good starting point. Have to do with concentration. But there's another aspect that comes before concentration, and that's relaxation. Now, here's what we're up against. We think of relaxation as vegging out, as, low energy, going to sleep, or, watching movies or something. That's not what relaxation is from the standpoint of meditation. Same thing with concentration. It's not the grim, tense form of concentration that we associate with that word. So to practice meditation properly, to quiet the mind, we have to unlearn two concepts. They're not concepts, they're ingrained into the body. Two aspects. Relaxation can leave us alert and focused, and concentration can be done with relaxation. So that takes time and that takes practice to quiet the mind. But there are also other aspects of a quiet mind that occur naturally to people. Maybe not all people, but to those who want to meditate and who become more self-aware, more mindful through their practice of meditation, there are things we do during the day, for example, that can train the mind. A quiet mind is a little bit like being able to be at an altitude with less oxygen. Okay? It takes practice. So here's what I mean. For example, you're looking out the window, maybe you're thinking of something else, but you're sort of gazing. I call it gazing. You're gazing out the window, and maybe your mind is thinking about something, and then it stops naturally. With conscious awareness, you can actually practice that. Okay. The other thing that happens is when you trying to remember somebody's name or where your car keys are, that kind of thing, you often look up, turn your head a little bit, cock your head to a side, and you look up. Where did I leave my car keys? Where's my cell phone? And you pause for a minute as if you're dialing into the subconscious hard disk to get the answer to that question. Then, bingo, the person's name pops up. Where does it pop up from? So there are things that we do that instantly quiet the mind. Another thing that we do is, well, not enough people, we don't do this as often as we ought to, but when we're really listening intently to someone, we're concentrating on their words, And if we're really doing that well, we take in what we're hearing, listening to, quietly. In fact, my teacher, a founder of Ananda, Swami Kriyananda, in his wonderful book, Awaken to Superconsciousness, defines meditation as listening. If we can develop the art of listening, whenever we're in a conversation, just train your mind. In other words, when most people are talking to us, we're busy thinking of our answer. We might be busy thinking of other things. Well, practice the art of listening. Listen intently, not just to words, but feel intuitively. See if there is something to feel. Sometimes people don't express themselves clearly. Sometimes they even purposely use words that are disguising their emotions. And so the art of listening is really the art of meditation, or at least a precursor to it. So these are some suggestions that you can do. Gazing, you can practice that. You're at a stoplight waiting for the red light to turn green. Just gaze out the window quietly and practice. In other words, if you, during day activities, acclimate your mind, your subconscious and your conscious mind together, in that it's okay to be still. And you know, a lot of people, meditators, beginning meditators, they're actually afraid of, just as children can be afraid of the dark, meditators can be afraid of the silence. Because I'll admit to you that behind closed eyes, in the quiet darkness of meditation, it isn't all just angels. There's some demons in there. In fact, they're far more active than the angels for most of us, especially in the beginning of our spiritual journey. And so we can have evil thoughts, harmful thoughts, sexual thoughts. We can have all sorts of thoughts like this kind of thing. And of course, that's the question here. How do we quiet those thoughts? So we have to train the mind, both subconscious and conscious. The conscious mind trains the subconscious feeds back to the conscious mind what it's learned. That's how it works. The subconscious is your servant. Unfortunately, most people, it's the master. You know, we do things because it's a habit. We do things because we've always done them. And therefore it's hard to break bad habits. But we can change that relationship. So practice listening, practice gazing quietly. A good word to use in these techniques is feeling. Because the mind wants to be narrating, but the heart listens. So be more in the heart. In fact, when you begin meditation, the best way to begin meditation is to open the door of the heart. Door of my heart, open wide, I keep for thee. Famous chant by Paramhansa Yogananda, translated from the Bengali. The heart is the key to the mind. If the heart is content and quiet, the mind will much more readily become quiet too. If the heart is nervous, anxious, restless, concerned, fearful, desire-driven, then the mind hardly has a chance, because you can't force the mind. But in times when you're really enjoying yourself, maybe in sports, skiing or swimming or jogging, when you get into that zone where you're fully involved, engaged, you might be putting out a lot of energy on some physical level, but in a way you're very relaxed. A great sportsman can only do the amazing things they do by having a sense of inner relaxation, even though what they're doing takes maybe a lot of strength and so forth. Okay? So the secret to quieting the monkey mind is getting into that subtle realm of listening, of relaxing with alertness, focusing with calmness. Okay? So these are all the techniques that I've listed them all rather quickly. I've been thinking of even writing a book on the subject because it's such an issue for meditators. Okay, well, take this, listen to this a couple of times perhaps, and see if this can't be of some help to that, training that little monkey and your mind. But be nice to the monkey. Don't beat him up, okay? He has a role too, you know. All right. Good luck with the pet monkey.